was with you and Ankush,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so starstruck, and also it was like the first Zoom interview. And so that was the only thing I could think to say was, Anthony McGill, you play clarinet. Hi, everyone. Welcome to OSA Backstage. I'm Dani Meyer, and on today's episode, Serena and I are talking with clarinetist Anthony McGill. I don't want to say too much before this episode because I think Anthony says it all, but you should find more of him. You should listen to more of him. You should check out his website. You should go to his Instagram if you're on social media. The man is so thoughtful, and with or without a clarinet in his hands, I could listen to him forever. I think you will enjoy this. Thank you for being here. Enjoy. And if I do anything as stupid as I did the last time I interviewed you, which is start off by saying, Anthony McGill, you play clarinet. At least in this time
that's a good fact check. That's a good facts.
It is quite literally a fact.
Yeah.
Please introduce yourself. Hi, I play clarinet.
Yeah.
I was so we did it over, so it was with Alex Robinson, who was previously in our marketing department.
Okay.
And it was with you and Ankush, and I was so starstruck, and also it was like the first Zoom interview. And so that was the only thing I could think to say was, Anthony McGill, you play clarinet.
That's so funny. When was that?
It was before, you were here in January 2022.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hasn't lived rent free in my head at all for 4 years.
That's funny. Yeah. I wonder what 2022 was like. That feels like that was like a decade ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's something like that time. It's just, between,
It's really stretched.
A lifetime.
Yeah. So much happened. And
right.
That was also, that week you were playing the Mozart, and then we had pictures at an exhibition and Adam Schoenberg's picture studies.
Right.
But we had to put the brass back in the choir loft. So we'd gotten past all the COVID restrictions.
But it was still COVID-y, right? It was still like weird, right? Even flying airplanes it was like on air, right?
Yeah.
It was, oh my gosh, it's so weird.
And so that was having to put the brass back in the loft after feeling normal for like a hot second and then going back into it. It was a raging good time.
Yeah.
So, if you were going to introduce yourself,
how
would you introduce yourself?
I'm Anthony McGill, principal clarinetist in the York Philharmonic, a soloist, teacher, educator.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where did music start for you? Do you remember, like, was it at home? Was it at school?
Yeah, music started at home in Chicago. And I think it started with, music starts in my house just because my parents listened to a lot of music on the radio. My mom would always sing around the house, and this is all different types of music and all of these things. And so that's kind of where it really started. And then I spent quite a few years just listening to my brother practice, the flute. And so that's where it's always been like a part of my life somehow.
How much older is Damari from you?
He's 4 years older.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And he started from flute pretty young though?
Yeah, he was like 7, I think. 7 years old. So from the time I was like 3 years old, I'm like listening to the flute, listening to just music, yeah.
Okay, so was there ever were you ever tempted to try flute, or did you go straight to clarinet?
No, I think I went straight to clarinet. I wanted to play saxophone. That was too big for me. But I actually played piano earlier because we were getting piano lessons from a neighborhood teacher. But we only had a little keyboard, like electric keyboard. So it wasn't a real instrument to practice on, full instrument to practice on. So, I started playing the clarinet. And at some point, this is stories they tell me, of course. My mom said I asked her if I could play the flute, and she said, no way, because she didn't want, I think it was a great decision after all, not to play the same instrument as my brother, who was already winning competitions and greatest flute player in the world. So that eliminated the competitive aspect of.
Is that okay? Is that a younger sibling thing to expect that you should already have achieved the thing that your older sibling has? Is that like without the awareness of he's got 4 years on you?
Well, no, I think it was just like people outside of the house being like, "Oh, you're following in your brother's footsteps" and that sort of thing, which is it's fine. I think when you think about it, back, but obviously there is like a little pressure when you're younger siblings. Like, can you be as good as your older brother, et cetera, et cetera. So, but maybe the pressure is good. Who knows? But it was never pressure inside our house, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your mom was fully on board with you going with clarinet.
Yeah, yeah, and my dad too. But, yeah,
You could have been an amazing saxophonist.
I would have liked to. I've never really touched the saxophone after that initial rejection, but I love the instrument, and I could have been, would have, could have, would have, should have. Yeah,
In an alternate universe, the multiverse of the McGills.
Yeah.
There's a saxophonist out there
Yeah.
somewhere.
exactly.
Did you? Okay, so were you playing clarinet in band at school for a while, or was it just lessons? Or
Yeah, they were starting a band, in quotes, a band at school in fourth grade, and picked the instruments on the table, and there were probably like 5 people in the band. It was like they were
Okay.
just starting a band, so they had a few musicians in a room, and we were doing group lessons out of the band book, and but I also started taking private lessons right away too,
Mhm.
because I think having had my brother start in music, somehow my parents always got the best advice about what to do when introducing their kids to things, and so private lessons was a part of it. And so the first teacher was a jazz saxophone player actually in Chicago who would come over to the house, and then my my next teacher happened to be in the lyric opera, and then my next series teacher was at the Merit School of Music, where I studied for many years, and who was really amazing player and teacher, David Tuttle. And then through Merit, they introduced me to the clarinet teachers at DePaul University, who happened to be um, Larry Combs, the principal clarinetist of the Chicago Symphony, and Julie DeRoche, who was a famous teacher in Chicago. And the rest is history from that Chicago period.
I love though that you went from jazz saxophonist to lyric opera of Chicago. Did you have any inkling of what those two things meant when you started, or was it just
No, not at all. And I just got lucky with just this, having good instruction from the very beginning, and but that none of that meant anything to me. I enjoyed playing the instrument though.
Do you think did how they approach you in the instrument, like were they focusing on like, oh, he's at this age and he's at this level, or was there we're going to start introducing you to opera rep, we're going to start introducing you to orchestra rep?
Yeah, I don't remember that happening ever. I just know that I was progressing very quickly. I know this now. I didn't know this at the time, but I progressed very quickly. And so that's like I remember playing through, there was this little elementary band book and an elementary method book. And I remember playing through a lot of those pieces very quickly.
Mhm.
Uh, but there was never a sense of, okay, what you're doing is playing classical music to try to do this thing. There was not that. That wasn't really introduced until I guess much later. And maybe my brother had already been started to play in different youth orchestras and stuff, so I saw that. And I played in a group very early on that my brother played in called the Chicago Teen Ensemble, which was 6 or 7 or 8 young Black musicians from the Chicago area. And we had a teacher who was the band teacher at my brother's school and my first and second grade school, who was Dr. Elmore, who arranged all of these amazing pieces for this collection of musicians, different instruments all together. We would play around the city in churches and venues all around and I've been playing maybe for a year or two when I've
Okay.
been playing with this group and doing solos. And so, I was like, when I started playing the clarinet, I was like, I was already a musician.
Yeah.
I was in the musical scene because of my brother and stuff. So that was probably the most, yeah. So I advanced very quickly with repertoire, after that.
Okay. But you know that you were now as an adult, you look back and like, oh my God. Okay. So they were like a blistering pace. But were you aware then at all that you were getting to do something special, or were people careful to just let you go at the pace that you were dictating?
That's interesting. Yeah, I never felt like I was being pushed out of my comfort zone.
Mhm.
And I had one teacher, my teacher David Tuttle, I know, was insisting on scales. So I remember that. I don't remember much about my childhood studies, um, pre, 12, 13,
Okay.
but I remember that. I remember that he was really big on the scales, and we would do them in group lessons. And so I had, like, and so I was playing, kind of concerti type pieces early on after not playing clarinet for very long.
The reason why I'm so curious is you have that video of you, I think his name is Prince, at the Kaufman Center,
Mm.
and he can't be more than 9, 10.
He's 7.
So he's 7 years old.
Yeah.
And he just looks he's such a cool cucumber dude. And you're playing Match the Phrase. And at the end of the video, he turns, he's like, what are you doing with your hands? But there's no tension in it. It's a very it's like a Yo-Yo Ma almost esque energy where she's like, "We're gonna play the clarinet together," and
Well, so this was totally unplanned. I met him that day, that morning. I didn't know that he was the kid that I'd seen on the internet the day before,
Okay.
and I didn't know that I was going to his school the day after. So it was a very special thing, and there's more stuff I found out about it too. But the guy who's president of the school, Tony Mazzocchi, I know him because he runs the Kinhaven Festival, and he used to run Montclair State University. I've had a relationship with in the past. And that morning, he texted me to send me the video um, of Prince. And I saw it, and I told him, oh, yeah, I saw that. I saw that video. And he told me that he goes to his school. And I was like, oh, that's funny. I'll be there this morning. Or maybe I told him that later when I showed up at the building, and I was like, that's the same building. So I was like, is he here? And they were like, yeah, he's doing his jury upstairs, first grader or second grade, whatever grade he's in. And like, I was like, oh, cool, be nice to meet him. So they brought him down. And that scene you see is like literally like totally unplanned. He might have started playing first. And then I started playing something, and then he started imitating me, and I started imitating him. And we did that for like a while. And I was like, what is happening? But we had a little jam session, and I could tell, like, you can tell how great he is because he has rhythmic sense and pitch sense. So which is crazy, like
7.
yeah, at 7 with articulation and scale and going up and down. And he's like, can you do this? And you can do this. What you did see in that video is that we had all these bass. So my clarinet maker, Bakun, was there showing instruments. And I was a part of that. I wasn't a part of his school event. And there was a bass clarinet, a small bass clarinet without the low part of the instrument. And he was like, what is that? And he played it right away. Like I told him, he was like, it's a larger clarinet. He didn't want it to know how his fingers put on it. And then he started playing. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really fun. But he asked a lot of inquisitive questions. He asked about, like, what do you do when you don't feel like practicing? Stuff like that. Like, this is him. I mean, it's just like, but what it didn't tell, this is the first reveal of this, is that I believe it's his mother or guardian or someone like that reached out to me on Instagram the next day. I didn't know her either. And and she actually has never identified as his parent or whatever. So, but I'm just assuming. But she says he asked to listen to your vocalise for his playlist the night before.
Oh.
I met him.
Oh man.
But
okay.
He didn't know he was going to meet me. I didn't know I was going to meet him.
Right. It's just
But he knew who I was and asked to listen to that for his playlist the day before.
Oh man.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so fun.
I know.
It's such a small world.
It is such a small world.
And how do you? I'm just imagining one that you had teachers, whether you remember it or not, who were doing the same thing with you. It's like, oh, okay, just be cool. Just be cool. The kid's really good. Just be cool. But with him or any student, any young person that you get to work with, how do you walk that line between I can see your potential, but I want you to get there in a pace that's comfortable?
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. I'll be honest. Like, I think you let them go. I think that's what is cool. And like when they ask you questions about practicing or not, you let them make it sound as easy as possible. That's probably the key, is that and just I think kids like that, like being honest with them is good. I think I couldn't have told this guy something that wasn't true without him figuring out that I'm trying to mess with him or something. I think he was a very precocious kid that way. Like they know what's going on, kind of, and you can guide them. And fortunately, I've had teachers that were very honest with me about stuff. So if I started to get to like kind of how should I say, started to expect too much or expect too little or have disappointments or have outsized expectations, I had teachers that were very honest with me and very like real with me. Like either you're not quite at that level yet, but you can be, or saying you shouldn't be disappointed. You played really great. Like this is encouraging. So I think honesty is probably the best thing that I experienced growing up.
Do you still have those people in your life now, like mentors that you look to for that objectivity? Oh my goodness, objectivity check.
Yeah, I have. I have what my teacher from high school, who I keep in touch with, who's a friend and mentor, Richard Hawkins, is probably the closest person like that, as far as just musically and personally, everything. He was my teacher at Interlochen from the age of 15 to 17, approximately. And yeah, he's become a great friend and still a mentor. And he helped me design a mouthpiece for this clarinet maker, with my name on it, and I play his mouthpiece, and I trust him with my sound, and I trust him with a lot of honesty and guidance about a lot of different things. So yeah,
I trust him with my sound is a very, I think I've never heard anyone say that before. I think as a string player, there aren't many makers who are either still around or teachers. Like they're firmly luthiers or makers. And so it's a very Jim Compton, our principal bassoonist, has the what's it called? It shapes the reeds. But his dad made it for his teacher, who then asked for it to be essentially
profiler, or is that what it is?
Yeah, it's one of the original shaper. Yeah,
Jim still uses it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, how do you? Okay, so then going back for a hot second, you talked about you have to be honest with students about practicing. Make it sound easy, but be honest. Mm-hmm. You went from the Cincinnati Symphony to the Met. How did you handle that change in workload, the type of work?
Yeah, I think that was probably the scariest part about going to the job, was like that unknown factor. Like, can I play the clarinet this long? Can I physically do this job? which is wild to think about. And but you do. It's like anything else that's a challenge or a potential challenge. There isn't a thing that can keep you from doing it just because it might be different and unknown. So I adjusted very quickly to hours and hours of playing a day. And but it helps to sounds very silly, but it helps to really like music. It really does. With all of the challenges you face as a musician, is that everything comes down to not the difficulty of it. It comes down to how much do I love this and how much do I enjoy this, the act of doing it. And so that's where it can be super challenging, but I'm lucky to be doing this, I'm lucky. That's how I handled that transition for sure. And there were a lot of people that would not have liked to do it. I heard from colleagues, they're like, why are you doing that? Why are you going to the opera? Even to some people like, how did you play in the opera? I could never do that. Well, I could. Yeah. And I would, so it's perspective. It's how you look at things. I think it's really important.
Was there a difference playing in a pit versus on stage that you felt? Like, I know there are some musicians that feel like they would prefer to be on stage and like kind of big part of the performance, but there are other musicians who enjoy not being background, but like being part of the production almost in a less spotlight way.
Yeah, I think, one, I have, I think maybe a board member currently that when I first joined the Philharmonic, I was asked that same question, and I was like, half jokingly, like saying that, yeah, it's a lot brighter on stage because it is, but it's actually a real factor in the performance. Like actually being under the bright lights is a thing. When, you spend 10 years in the pit, it's much darker. It's much the shows and performances are much longer. You are a part of the production. So that is completely different. And a different set of muscles need to be developed, nervous system muscles, I would call them, just to be able to do different things. You get your nervous system gets accustomed to whatever you're doing regularly. And so when you do something very different, like going to the stage and playing lots of different types of concerts with, in every single piece, big clarinet solos or something, it's a nervous system adjustment more than anything.
You were talking to Andrew Simon about that. There's that really great interview you have. I think it's his website. And it almost sounded like track athletes. Like my husband and I love to watch track. And you watch the sprinters and they're warming up and they're waiting and their hearts go through. If they wear a heart rate monitor, it's like watching it go through the roof. Yeah. And that's what it sounded like when you first started at the Phil, was just getting used to the adrenaline of suddenly being perceived.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, certainly. And, most of the repertoire that I played at the Philharmonic, the first year, second year, third year, a lot of this rep I had never played on stage before, because you practice it as principal clarinet, but the only opportunity I got to play principal clarinet is either I played it in college or in youth orchestra or at the Met in the few concerts we used to do at Carnegie, and they still do at Carnegie. And that was it. So if I hadn't played it there, this was the first time I'm doing it on stage, was with the New York Phil.
How did you prepare yourself for to own that role?
Well, I think, I always tell people, like, you've been preparing for the stuff that you're doing forever, literally. And so that's a part of being a musician, is that we start when we're children. And some of the pieces that I was playing on stage with the New York Philharmonic at age 24, 25, 26, I started when I was a child. And so that helps that you've played it thousands of times, hopefully, at that point. And then, of course, you have to do it. Right. And then you just have to do it. And obviously, I wouldn't have gotten that job if I didn't know how to play the stuff very well. You hope. So that, that's kind of expected of. That's the whole point.
Is there any obviously we get to be surrounded by the best colleagues in the world. Is there any, because you're approaching some of these things for the first time on this stage, is there any sort of calibration for, now I know what these people sound like, now I know how they're approaching things or their tone? Was there any calibration, or did you go in first with, this is how I know this is supposed to go for me, and then I can adjust from there?
Oh yeah, there's always that of course you have an idea of what you want to play it like. Of course, you have your voice, but part of being a part of an ensemble of any sort, in my opinion, is listening to what's happening around you, and that listening is just becomes a part of your playing, I think.
Mhm.
And so that is actually that's the fun part, is that you have to listen not only to yourself, because if you only do that, you're never going to be hired to play within the ensemble, because you won't be a good listener, which means you're not a good musician, and you can't play with people. So yes, you have to be a soloist, but the whole point of that is you have to play with people.
The principal winds and brass, maybe the principal winds and brass, section string player, that becomes paramount for everything. You're not, it's your interpretation is not, is back there. Your voice as principal clarinet, when you join a new group, do you feel like there's also, like, they've hired you for your voice? So yes, you're listening and you're adjusting, you're making music together, but also, do you feel like you get to retain a sense of agency?
Oh yeah, I think yeah, like, it's hard to do that without, and that's kind of what you're expected to do as well. And as you get more and more comfortable with an ensemble, after they've given you tenure or after you've been there for a few years, you feel like it's even more of like, okay, this is how I want to play this.
Mhm.
And I think that comes a lot from the orchestra, that comes from the conductors that come in, that comes from a lot of different places, comes from experience of, okay, let me try something different here, or this is what just happens that night. There's so many variables for what that is, but I do feel like there is agency, there's freedom, there's for sure, there's just there are artistic choices that you can make even within 1 week of playing the same program 3 or 4 times in that week. There are choices, subtle choices, that I make every single night that are slightly different.
I mean, I feel like we heard that in rehearsal, even in the like pre-meeting, like the different things that you're trying out, the different nuances, and the way that you phrase into cadences, or even leading into things. With your time at the Met, did your time working with singers kind of inform you? Because I feel like opera, even more so than symphonic, is like you don't know what's going to happen night after night, and singers with their instrument being in their bodies, the performance changes every night, just the nature of their instrument. Is that something that informed the way you play, or the kind of experimentation and the different changes you like to do in your?
Yeah, I think the the voice of the voice of my clarinet sound exists in my ear,
Mhm.
and that is the voice that was influenced by the Met for 10 years for sure. Um, it feels like there was a lifetime of learning that I had when I played at the Met, and it's a lifetime of different lifetimes of musicianship that I was able to witness and hear and learn from. I think part of music making is about learning how to phrase from others
Yeah,
that you're around. It's kind of like we
absolutely.
don't it's not talked about enough, I think, but I talk about it a lot with my team, with my students, is that I learn from hearing them play. I learn from hearing my colleagues play. I learn from hearing singers sing, musicians. I grew up listening to music so much that that's where I learned everything from. And so, yeah, but the way that the clarinet voice becomes the same as that inner ear voice is just a part of what I do, and I think a lot of that is definitely from the time at the opera.
So when you get a new piece of music, do Rostropovich is famous for saying that he studied the score. He didn't even touch his cello for a while. He studied the score and sang through it that way. When you get a new piece of music, what's the first thing that you do?
If it's a brand new piece that's never been written before,
sure.
Or
let's say it's written for you,
Yeah.
because you and your brother
Yeah.
and you guys have so many commissions, whether it's a chamber or a solo or
well, just this afternoon, I was just
Really?
before this talk, I was practicing a new piece by Billy Childs, the concerto that we're playing next week.
Wow.
Three times next week already.
you're in Baltimore.
Baltimore's
I'll get to hear it. Okay, great.
And so it has never been heard before, but really, I'm with the score. Actually, I'm with my part first, and then I'm with the score because I can't play it with anyone if I've only practiced my part.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to write in a bunch of different things from the score, and in this case, I already listened to one or two of the movements, just a MIDI version that he sent a while ago, just to have an idea. But that idea is, just a computerized version. But then I'll go back to that to reference my notes from the score as far as cues that I need to know to make it sound like I know the piece, and my entrances are correct. And then I'll go more into my own part. And then next week, when it's with the orchestra, I'll write more in that'll help me to grasp what I want to do in certain sections. And if there are cadenza sections, I'll as I'm playing it and practicing more, I'll write in more ideas of what I want to do, choices that you talk about that I imagine will make this piece will come alive more. And then after the first performance, I'll have certain ideas that I'll probably write some of them in, or I won't. I'll just have them in my ear. And then the second performance, I'll have more ideas that come into play that I'll want to do next time, and on and on and on and on. And that process of changing and refining, and just changing and shifting through time, knowing the piece, being able to sing it more like myself. And so the ultimate goal being to bring out the emotional character that really speaks to whoever gets to listen to it, including myself. So that's kind of the process.
It sounds like it doesn't really end.
It doesn't.
Okay. So even with something like Copeland this week, where this is an old friend, but you are still, even, as you said, even in rehearsal, it's like, well, we could do this. We could try this. Why don't we?
Yeah, this is one of the oldest friends musically that I have. So when I said I was playing pieces that were challenging, I think when I was playing this piece, I played this piece for the first time.
This is going to hurt whatever age you say it's going to hurt.
Yeah. But I was playing this piece in Chicago for competitions when I was like 12 or 13. Yeah. 14. And, so it's one of those things that lives, but it's like it's brand new in a way every time.
I feel like that's a superpower in a way, because like I know a lot of musicians, I feel like they come back to a piece that maybe they haven't touched since college, and there's so much like baggage that you have to kind of overcome of like this piece brings you back to that time. Do you have any pieces like that, or do they evolve very organically every time you approach them? Like,
well, I think baggage is very interesting, because I think baggage isn't necessarily bad. Like when you're carrying luggage to go on a trip somewhere, it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's a good point.
So yes, are there aspects of a piece where you're like, I need to do some laundry out of your baggage? Yes, for sure. Same with people, right? Like ourselves. And I think that's what it's not about throwing away the pieces of clothing or the items of baggage, but they become lighter when you can kind of refine what is in them, what you carry with you. And the positive memory of like the fact that this is the thing that has stayed with me. This is a version of the things they carry. This is the version of a thing I carry as a musician that lives with me. It's kind of like the piece is not bad. It's kind of like the piece is me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I started playing, like I said, when I was a child. And so it's not just like a part of my family, like an external piece of something I love, but it's like actually like, because I think of my clarinet and my clarinet voice as a part of me, like who I am, I kind of feel like this piece is kind of a part of who I am. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
philosophically, spiritually, whatever that is.
It's a perspective shift where other people would be like, I've been struggling with this piece since I was 14 years old. It's like, no, this piece has been with me. We've been together since I was 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
You have mentioned your voice, trusting your teacher with your voice, but always coming back to, does this sound like me? Does this sound like my voice, my clarinet voice? You use that in so many different ways as an extension of who you are as a human. So the Take Two Knees, the Equal Justice Initiative, the program that's with Juilliard now, MAP. How easy is that, or natural is that for you to do? Did you have people who were doing that before you that you were inspired by, or did that come really naturally?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things I do come naturally, just by nature of someone. A lot of these types of things someone did for me, and some of them I see. There are very many examples of people that do that kind of stuff for others too. And do I want to have more of that in my life? Yes, for sure. So some of it is probably imitation, and some of it is natural, like mission driven work as a musician who believes that music has a very strong power in the world. So and that was given to me and those around me through, like I said, people like first of all, just my parents introducing me and my brother to music and this thing that we could do in our spare time. Just Barry Elmore at Polk Classical, who was the band teacher, introducing us kids to all these pieces that he could arrange, from Bach to Ellington and all these things, to the school I started at. School I really got more serious about the clarinet in Chicago, the Merit School of Music, when I had been playing maybe a year or two. That school was founded the year I was born in 1979 by people who believed in the power of music, reaching kids that didn't necessarily have the means to afford to play music. And that could change lives. And it was a tuition-free program. And so on and on and on and on, I encountered this giving musical spirit from people around me. And I was lucky to be able to be in that world. So it is a natural extension to be able to share that with as many people as I can encounter through different means. Some of my own creative means, but some that existed before that I'm coming along the team to artistic direct, like MAP, or be a creative director of a program like I did with the convening in Montgomery, Alabama, with EJI and Brian Stevenson, and or tack onto the work that he's doing to try to take a musical version of of social justice and change in the world, and whether it's that being inspired to do something, in 2020 with Take Two Knees. It all just comes from I think a lot of it is from a creative place of what I want to be doing in the world.
Do you think it's easier? To me, it always seems when you see someone doing it, it becomes infinitely easier for the next person to do it, and so on and so forth. Do you feel like you have made friends and colleagues by taking these steps and using your voice in this way?
I think I think so. I mean, I think there are many people that are kind of like-minded people that are already doing all of those things, and many people that are doing much more.
Mm.
So I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't. I have never done those sorts of things for. I've done a lot of those things kind of selfishly for others, because I think, as people will tell you always, you do more for other people and you receive, you know,
Mhm.
and so, but I think that yes, there are so many people that are role models for that sort of work, and it does make it easier, but maybe not. I think sometimes with this sort of thing that it doesn't necessarily make it easy to do. I don't think it's necessarily easy for me to do. I think things, making choices that affect people um, can be challenge. It can be challenging, and I think that's what I mean by a good challenge, though.
Mhm.
And I think um, it's definitely easier for me to do stuff like this than it was 10 years ago for someone, or 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Mhm.
And so that makes it like more important that I continue to do it, but more important that everyone continues to do it, because the challenges we face today are nothing like the challenges people faced 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. The time goes on. And so, yes, being those people are leaders. I'm happy to be a leader in my own right, but also a follower of so many people that led in ways that are just actually great in the past.
In a lot of ways, it sounds like what you were saying about going to the Met, where it's not going to be easy, but if you love the action of it, then
Mhm.
you'll get there.
Certainly.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there ever been, amongst all the things you've gotten to do, I saw Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood on your list. Has there ever been anything completely surreal that you've gotten to do because you play clarinet?
Besides Mr. Rogers?
You can also talk about Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Besides that, I think would be playing on the steps of the Capitol building in 2009, January, when Barack Obama was inaugurated president. That was probably the most surreal thing that I've ever done. And it still feels like it's not real, actually. So that's pretty much it. And then, there are many other little things here and there that crop up that I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That would involve a lot of name dropping,
Yeah.
too. That's really cool. And usually it involves a lot of name dropping, but all of that stuff is from clarinet, which is really crazy.
It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been maybe this is an adjacent question, but I'm sure you've traveled a lot as because of the clarinet. Has there been a favorite city or place that you've traveled to?
Yeah, right now one of the favorite places is Taipei, Taiwan. Yeah, I really like Taipei. That's just one of them, but it's one of my favorites.
When you actually have a free moment, like an afternoon off, I don't know if that's ever a thing for you, but if it was, what would you do?
um, let's see. Well, I had all morning today, and I don't know.
What was that like?
I just stayed in bed. I watched a couple of Netflix shows. I listened to some music. I practiced a little bit. I surfed on my phone. Like, I did nothing. But that's not an ideal day that you're talking about. But that was a necessary day,
Yeah.
actually. I went downstairs for breakfast and I ordered in for lunch. And, I would play golf. That's kind of what I like to do. Um, I like to read as well and exercise, which I also didn't do today. So that's the list of things. But also you need days where you're not doing anything. I like days like that too.
How often do you get them?
Not full days, but like I said, sometimes a morning free or an afternoon. It only takes a few hours, to kind of regroup and have a little mini vacation. You don't need to go anywhere necessarily.
Nice. We just have one last question for you. So you're on stage, you try anything for 30 minutes and there's no consequences. What are you trying?
Trying musically, do you mean? What do you mean?
You can play any instrument you want, like any instrument you would have liked to try. You can conduct. You can. Some people mess with. Yeah, some people want to do lighting. Some people want to play the laptop. Like
we're never gonna let Brett live that down. He wants to play the laptop.
For Mason Bates, it was like a Mason Bates piece where you just he said I wanted to play the laptop.
Yeah. I guess, it's kind of, oh yeah. No, I think I would like to be, if I was on the stage with the clarinet, I would like to be like playing, and I've done it before, but in a different way. I've done clarinet pieces with the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra and the Detroit Symphony. But I want to play, actually be the world's greatest jazz musician on the clarinet with Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, but not as a guest, but as an actual, not as Anthony McGill, classical clarinetist playing jazz, but actually be
alternate universe.
Yes,
Anthony
alternate
McGill.
Universe Anthony McGill, saxophone as a Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra.
Ironic, because this week Benny Goodman commissioned the Copland Concerto, and I learned this morning that there's the first version revised too hard for Benny Goodman written somewhere. But
yeah,
so you want to trade places with Benny?
I don't know
Goodman.
That was this week, huh? That's crazy. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Anthony, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yay.
Cool.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
That's